Good morning, one and all present here. Myself, Bhuvanya, doing my research in under Vailtech Rangarajan Dr. Shakuntala R&D Institute of Science and Technology. First of all, I would like to thank for the opportunity to present my topic in the conference of ICCIC 2021. And the topic that I'm going to present is integrated image recommendation based on category and color, utilizing convolutional neural network and VGG 16. So coming to the introduction part, a recommender system is a system that is capable of predicting the future preferences of a set of items, and it recommends the top relevant item to the user. As we all know about it, abundant amount of information is updating day by day, and hence it is very tough for the people to look for and select the desired item. Hence, this recommended system is acting as a personalized web-based application, and it provides personalized recommendation to the users about the content they might be interested in. So how it works? It identifies the data pattern by analyzing the data set, and it learns the choices of the user and produces the result which could correlate with the user interest. As the volume of data grows rapidly, it is essential to improve the quality of the recommendation. Hence, the data scientists they have replaced the traditional machine learning algorithm with the deep learning model. And also, the deep learning techniques have perceived great success in computer vision application. Recently, this DL model have started their influence in the field of the recommender system, and it achieves high quality recommendation with the ability to work with a large set of data, along with the computational power. This deep learning algorithm can self-learn the hidden pattern, which is very helpful to make the prediction as well as the recommendation. So the difference between prediction and the recommendation is prediction helps to quantify the item, whereas recommendation helps the user to discover the unknown item. Online shopping is a one-step solution for today's lockdown problem, and it is growing at an unprecedented rate all over the world. Whenever the users are communicating with the online shopping site, they want an interactive setup that is convenient and reliable for querying the related product. Hence, there is a search for the recommender system has been increased in the e-commerce site to increase the average purchase value of the e-business site, providing suggestion based on the analogous item whenever the user clicks on any particular item which is targeted. That is what the objective of the work is. And what are all the reasons we are implementing the deep learning models in the recommender system? So the first one, which is the non-linear transformation. So in the traditional matrix factorization technique, which combine the user and the item factors linearly, but the neural network are capable of approximate the function by applying various activation function. Then the next one, which is representation learning. When the deep learning model is incorporated, it learns the feature from the raw data. Also, it can make use of text, image, audio, and video to build a recommendation model. Then the sequence modeling. So sequence modeling, when we are talking about the sequence modeling, we can relate the speech processing as well as the natural language processing technique. So both the convolutional neural network as well as the recurrent neural network, these things have it proved its effectiveness in the field of sequence modeling. So it works well efficiently with the speech processing as well as with the natural language application. Then all about the flexibility. So this deep learning model is providing various frameworks such as TensorFlow, PyTorch, Deep Learning 4J, Keras, and Cafe, and all these things. So we can make use of this deep learning framework, and we can enhance our efficiency through this. And technical overview of the product is as the work which concentrate on both color and category based image retrieval, because from the topic itself what we could understand is integrating the image recommendation. So integrating in the sense we are integrating the text as well as the color. Okay, so the category based image, to get the color as well as the category based image retrieval, as a first step I have implemented TF-IDF as a pre-processing step. And also the online scraping technique, which is also known as the web harvesting technique, is used to extract the images from the product URL as a procedure which always focuses on the color. And we have 20,000 items in our data set, and each product will have 5 images. So all of the images must be obtained from the URL. Hence, web scraping technique is used to retrieve and download the image from the product URL in the dataset. Then the color histogram is applied to identify the color of the product. So in order to deal with the category based, the TF-IDF is used, whereas to deal with the color histogram is applied. So once these processes are completed, the images will be fed on to the convolutional neural network as well as to the VGG16, which will retrieve the similar type of product. And this is what the technical overview speaks about. Now coming to the workflow, this is the workflow. We'll be having an input data set. Then from the input data set which has been taken from Kaggle, and the data set which I worked is Flipkart data set. Then I have applied the pre-processing techniques such as punctuation removal, stop word removal, lemmatization, and then I have applied the TF-IDF which calculates the top most frequent 15 items from the data set. Then the color histogram process is applied which retrieves the color of the particular product. Once it is done, then the training data will be passed to the convolutional neural network as well as to the VGG16, which will recommend the matching product by deep learning approach. Further, the model will be evaluated to check the performance of CNN and VGG16. Now coming to the pre-processing step, so initially the case folding, which is also known as the lower casing approach, is used, which turns all the letter into the lower cases. And to eliminate the punctuation mark as well as the non-alphabetic character, string manipulation and regular expression procedures are used. Then we have applied the lemmatization method, which is applied to fetch the meaningful category of the product. But then TF-IDF is applied. What is the use of the TF-IDF here is, as I already told, we are having 20,000 product in our data set. And for all the product, if we go with the recommendation, it will be a little bit tedious process. So that for this particular application, I have taken only the top 15 frequent categories from the data set. So in order to get the top 15 categories from the dataset, TF-IDF method is applied, which is one of the feature extraction technique. Whereas TF is the ratio of number of terms T appears in the document to the total number of terms, whereas IDF is the ratio of the number of documents to the number of document that has a T in it. Now the pre-processing technique is over. We have to move to the color histogram process. So to extract the color information, we have various techniques such as color histogram, color coherence vector, and color moments. These are all the technique which we often utilize. But in order to deal with this application, I have included the color histogram technique, which is a graph that depicts the distribution of color composition in an image. In addition, the color histogram bar, which shows the number of pixels in each type of color in an image. And in order to identify the similarity matching between the images, so we can include the Euclidean distance computation method is included over here. When the pre-processing techniques are over and the identification of color process is also done, then what is the next step, which is convolutional neural network? So the choice behind the convolutional neural network is, when compared to other classification method, the amount of pre-processing which is required by the convolutional net is very less. And it is also known as a convolutional net, which has a three types of layers known as convolutional layer, pooling layer, as well as fully connected layer. And when it is compared with the regular neural network, CNN works differently. Here, the image gets differed from one another in the special structure. And also, the term convolution is a mathematical function that combines two functions and produces a third function, which is known as the merging technique. So whatever the image that we retrieved from the e-commerce sites that are represented in terms of the pixel matrix, and we'll be choosing the input for the convolutional layer is the height, width, and number of channels in the image. So as we are using RGB, the number of channels will be 3 here. Once the convolutional network process is done, we are just going for the advanced technique that is known as a VGG16, and it is also known as a very deep convolutional neural network. So it has a 3x3 size convolutional layer, and it has a max pooling layer has 2x2 size, which will be followed by the fully connected layer at the end. So all these layers are these are two completely linked hidden layer, and which will be connected with only one fully connected output layer in VGG model. So in the next slide, I'll show the architecture of the VGG16. So here it is, we are having an input layer, then convolutional layer, which is followed by the max pooling layer, and which will be followed by the dense layer, and we'll be having a dropout after the dense layer, which will further improve the efficiency of the results. That's all about the convolutional neural network and VGG process. Now, these are all the sample snapshots that I have included. So the first one, which is the pre-processing, the original text that I have received there, and from the original text, I've done the process of punctuation removal, and then the stop words removal. Finally, the lemmatized text I have got, and from the lemmatized text, the first 5 characters will be taken, and that will be useful. That will be identified as the meaningful category for each and every product. Once it is done, once it is done, then the top 15 most frequent categories are identified by applying the technique of TF IDF. So here, these are all the category which how many times it has been occurred. The number of times the occurrence is also denoted here. Once the retrieval of top 15 category is completed, once the top 15 categories are identified, we have to move to the color histogram process, which describes the distribution of the color in the image. So for instance, I have taken a ring as an example, and for that the color histogram bar is represented over here at the adjacent. And now after the color histogram process is done, we have to apply the process of CNN as well as the VGG16. So this is the sample query image that has been taken, and for this type of application I have concentrated only on the apparel. So from the apparel, from this is what the image at the left hand side is our query image. So from the image I can extract the color as well as the category of each and every product. Once it is done, based on that, what are all the category and what are all the color which is present for the particular product, that will be shown as a recommendations to the user, and this is how it will work. Once the both the convolutional network as well as the VGG16 will work as a will work efficiently in order to do the recommendation. To compare the performance, we have various performance evaluation metrics that has been applied over here. So the first one, which is precision, recall, F measure as well as accuracy. Precision, which describes how many selected items are relevant, whereas recall, which describes how many relevant items are selected. F measure, which is nothing but a combination of precision as well as the recall. And to further know about accuracy, here we have accuracy score. So by this table, what we can understand is, so VGG16 works well when compared with the CNN, and that's all about this evaluation metrics. Now coming to the conclusion, so this paper adopts the strategy of convolutional neural network and VGG16 to fetch the color-based product. Also, 20,000 products, from the 20,000 product, and various images are trained to predict the product based on the color. Initially, the term frequency and inverse document frequency is applied to identify the category of the product, and to download all the product images from the URL, web scraping technique is applied. Then it is fed into the color histogram process, which identify the color of the particular product. Then CNN and VGG16 is employed to produce the recommendation. So to evaluate the performance, some evaluation metrics are also applied. So this paper concentrate on image retrieval in the domain of apparel, and further it could be enhanced to all the products available in the data set. And if this image retrieval is implemented on the e-commerce site successfully, then definitely it will reduce the browsing time of the user. And that's all about the conclusion. Here, these are all the references paper that I have referred, and thank you for the opportunity.